Welcome to another edition of Office Hours. David is in Tahiti right now. Damn. He's having a little bit of internet difficulty, but he may or may not be able to join us. In the meantime, myself, Blaine Bartlett, and Alex, the Iceman here, is going to be filling in here. Raoul, welcome to the show. And there's a couple of things. When I saw, who was going to be on the show today, I was actually really quite intrigued and looking forward to the conversation here. Part of it has to do with threads, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute, but also just the notion of CEO branding. I mean, just kind of, what all of that entails, because you're actually setting up yourself and your organization as one of the premier branding organizations on the planet. So I think I'm going to just turn it over to you here. I do have a question, and it does have to do with the trajectory of Threads. It was launched, I think about 4 months ago, maybe, something like that, if I'm correct on that. How is it positioned to some of the others that are, in that competitive space? And you seem to think that it's strategically positioned in a way that none of the others have been strategically positioned. Can you kind of elucidate on that a bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think it gives us this clear example of what happens when you have an alternative versus having something in isolation. So a year ago, not that many people were in love with Mark Zuckerberg, right? But then there were a lot of concerns about Elon Musk from certain people. And so when Mark Zuckerberg provides this alternative, all of a sudden Mark Zuckerberg's a great guy, right? And we're all going to go to Threads and we're excited about it. And it's just like an alternative to Twitter. And I think that's why it created a lot of excitement and it got a lot of fast growth. And then people have been on it for a little while and they're like, maybe this isn't as exciting as I thought it would be long term. So we're going to have to do some updates, some ideation to keep that trajectory growing. But they are well positioned from the perspective of you have a universe of people who are not in love with the direction that X has gone now. And so it does stand really well to take off at another level, but we're going to have to do some ideation to keep people excited there.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Raoul. So you're obviously an expert in branding, and my question to you, which is really relevant to what I'm doing right now, how important your personal brand is in congregation conjunctions with your business, and what is the trend has been lately on personal branding and combining it with products or services or whatever that is that your company offers?
Well, I think the way to think about it is business isn't just business to business or business to consumer, but it's H to H, human to human connection. And I think David knows that better than anybody. So it's really about how you develop that emotional connection, right? I have this mentor of mine, Chris Collins, he says, either you get branded or you get labeled. So are you designing your brand or are you letting it happen to you, right? Mm-hmm. And the value of that personal brand is that in an age where everyone has a corporate logo and we're all inundated with information and we don't know how to differentiate anything, seeing a CEO and what they believe in and feeling like you connect with them and what they're about is a significant differentiator, right? So think about it like NASCAR for a second. All the cars are high performing. All of them have hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars put into them. But what's the one difference? The driver. So as CEO, you're the driver of your business. So it does play a key role in helping you stand out more. Also the same for executives at larger companies. You can really get more position as a thought leader. And a lot of times in the media cycle as it stands today, the media outlets know you want to promote a product, so they'll send you to the advertising department, right? But if you actually have value to your audience, then you can share something with them and you get to talk about your company or your product anyway.
Yeah. Now there's, I think an embedded, what's the word I'd look out for here? Yeah, there's an embedded danger in being the brand. Yeah. The exemplar or the symbol of the brand as the CEO, one misstep and things kind of get a little wonky. Yeah, I did a lot of work with Starbucks. I spent about 6 years working with them at the C-suite level, and and I loved Howard. Just really a stand-up guy. But I've been interested to watch what's happened in the last couple of years, particularly with the union conversations that have been going on. And I don't have any data. I haven't talked to anybody over there right now, but it seems to me that from an brand equity position, Starbucks has taken a bit of a hit because of the way Howard has positioned himself around some things. How do you counsel your clients with that being part of the whole branding conversation? How does that come into play?
Yeah, so two things. So one, you have to make sure that when we're thinking about CEO or executive branding, it's not about ego, it's about effectiveness, right? And so if
Mhm.
you're doing it and it's coming from a place of you're boosting your own ego, then that is more likely to happen. But if you're doing it truly because it's a great way to connect with the audience and you're promoting the business and you promote other leaders and you make sure people understand there is a great team, then that prevents you from taking that fall as much. Number two, Steve Jobs was an iconic CEO, and Apple's just doing great right now because Tim Cook has been very smart about it, right? So, one of the things that people have to understand is this idea of CEO or executive branding. It should be institutionalized within the organization. It's not just about the one person,
Yeah.
they're a Hall of Famer, and when they go away, it's over. No, take the same approach with not just the CEO, but multiple executives so that you're getting that connection on a more focused level. So, how do we turn multiple executives into industry thought leaders? When you do that, you're institutionalizing it. One part goes out, next one comes in. Take the same approach.
Yeah.
I have a question for you on that to follow up. And I typically work with top level CTOs and help them with a lot of engineering and development needs that they have. And I've seen a recent trend that more and more CTOs started to appear on public and kind of start putting them out there. A lot of them are technical. Do you have any advice for I know you mentioned other C-level positions, but it would be interesting to hear if you have any advice on CTO putting their content out there and how to manage that in the globe.
Well, I think one of the things we all like the most is when a brand has a spectrum, a yin and a yang, right? And so, if a CTO, you expect them to just all be hyper technical and not personable, right? So, if you have a CTO, they have a little bit of personality, share that, they end up coming off relatable. That is something that's going to differentiate them significantly. And that helps the company we're currently with. And if we're at the point in their life where we're looking to advance or we're looking over opportunities, that really helps them stand out more. So I do think it's a very powerful tool. A CTO that can be in media, that can do speaking engagements, that connects with the audience, has a significant advantage.
Raul, I want to go back to the continuity question. We got a migration from Steve Jobs to Tim. That whole this episode or this episode of Office Hours. We've got 3 days that we work with Office Hours here.
Mhm.
This one was originally titled "The Soul of Business." Office Hours, the Soul of Business episode, or
Yeah.
the Soul of Business edition. And it's that idea of the soul of business that I think, Jobs in particular, we'll just use him as an exemplar here, kind of, he embodied that. And there was that connection to what Apple stood for.
Yes.
And Tim has actually stepped into that as well. I'm going to just check my thinking on this. Part and parcel of the branding piece is connecting to that soul that makes that organization so unique. You can replicate just about anything else except that soul, what I call the soul of the business, that unique piece that makes a difference. And if the leadership groups literally embody what that soul is about, that transition, that migration, that continuity seems to hold up over time. Is that a fair assessment in your experience?
That is the magic in all of this, is that if I feel like the leader and other executives within the company believe so much in the business that I can see why they're there. I see that alignment. I see it, the carry through line. That is the most powerful piece of branding you can have when it seems like you have true believers, right? If it just seems people are checked out and we're just in there for money or this and that, that just tarnishes the business, right? That's so I think that's why, again, either you get branded or you get labeled, because people are going to assume the jaded position, you're just there for the check. But if you end up demonstrating that you really believe in the business, you're there to help people, and selling is supposed to be helping, right, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So if that is conveyed, then that is the magic.
That's beautiful. I'm glad that I was valid in that assumption. Yeah, that's where can people find out more about where you're at here? And we just put the Chiron down here because it's a mouthful.
Yes, it is a long title. Yeah, ascendantgroupbranding.com. My Instagram's Raoul Davis Brands, and then I'm easy to find on LinkedIn as well.
Okay. We're going to have you back on the show when Dave is available. I mean, he's still trying to ping in. I just got a little text note here that he's kind of weeding through the interference, trying to get online here. Sorry.
No worries. The last thing I wanted to mention is that this should all carry through on multiple levels. So PR, social, speaking, does it all carry through in the message? Do you have a multifaceted strategy? That also is where the magic comes in.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bill Masiello. I butchered it completely. I butchered that completely.
Masiello.
It was actually Raoul that I was speaking to, and I was introducing you, Phil.
Yeah,
so
Masiello.
Sorry about that.
That's not a problem.
Okay.
Not the worst I've ever heard.
So how we doing? Where are you at? And what's going on with you here? Because you've got a lot of stuff that is kind of on your radar right now.
Yeah, I am. I'm the founder of Crunchgrowth. We're a digital revenue acceleration agency. We're based in Baltimore. We have an office in outside of Detroit, Michigan, as well. But we basically help any consumer product company accelerate their revenue online. We're focused primarily on e-commerce and Amazon selling, Walmart selling, etc. So trying to solve that problem.
Yeah, good luck. You've got a book that's coming out right now that is out now. Empires and Entrepreneurs. I love this title. Empires and Entrepreneurs, How Business Shaped the World. Stories of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship throughout history. But it's how business has shaped the world. I am fascinated by this because in my experience, business is the most pervasive force on this planet. I mean, there is literally nothing that is not touched in some way by the activity of business.
Yeah.
I'm a clam in the middle of the Mariana Trench, and I've got a microparticle, sitting in my shell someplace.
100%. When you look at historically, it's really shaped society. It's shaped. What got me started on it, thinking about it, most of the books that I've written and articles I've written are about marketing or about, how to accelerate sales, et cetera. And I've done some, I do mentor entrepreneurs, and I love entrepreneurship. I founded several businesses myself. And I was reading one day an article about this Egyptian pharaoh, Hohotep. And they were talking about how he may have been the first entrepreneur. And they were talking about how, when you have to think about that time and place, and he really understood how to reach out to the world using what he had at his disposal, the Nile River, and he had crops. He understood how to grow things. So he started setting up trading routes and really set up the foundation for Egypt to be successful, not just in Egypt, but around the world, and setting up all these trading pieces. And that got me thinking, what about other entrepreneurs? So I started doing some research and looking at other entrepreneurs throughout history and what they've contributed and what they've done. And it's really interesting as you start getting into century by century. Obviously, we all know the Henry Ford stories and the newer ones, Thomas Edison and Rockefeller, et cetera. But when you start going back and you look at how printing was shaped and how music was shaped and how video was shaped and things like this. It all started really way back when, and it just kept building and building. So essentially, entrepreneurs and business itself really shaped societies.
I have a strategic question. Overall, in the past few years, I started to see that businesses sometimes take more responsibilities than governments, and they step in and start to do good things and influence certain big events that are happening around the world. What's your take on that?
I agree. I think that businesses, government can only do so much. Government can sort of lay down the foundation of a country and figure out what the people need, education, and figure out how those things are going to work. But it's really about business that's going to create jobs, that's going to create income for people, that's going to allow those people to buy what they need to survive or what they want to aspire to. And that just feeds the machine. And so businesses then can look at things and say, well, I'm going to start to do good. I think that in the past 20 or 30 years, we've really seen businesses take on the role of trying to do better in society, trying to, feed people, or trying to, a good example, I think, is oh God, I can't remember the name of the sock company that they started to provide socks to the homeless, but for every purchase you buy, or Tom's shoes, giving shoes to people. And so all those things, you're buying a product, they're entrepreneurial, they've started a business, but at the same time, they're taking some of that profit and giving it back and helping society.
Yeah, I'm fascinated with this, Phil, in the sense that, as an entrepreneur myself, and Alex, I know that you're also kind of in that domain. We got a lot of stuff going on here. I come back to when I'm actually mentoring or coaching somebody that is actually starting a business, or it's in late stage, or wherever they might be in that early cycle.
Yeah.
I invite them to step back from what they're doing and ask the question, what's the purpose of our business? And I don't mean from what is it that we're selling, but what's the purpose of our business, but more generically, what's the purpose of business? And I've got a hidden agenda when I ask them that question. Because what I'm thinking is that the purpose of business is to provide the opportunity to increase the likelihood of thriving on the planet. That's the purpose of business. And I'm going to do it through my service. I'm going to do it through my product offering. But if I don't have the opportunity, if I'm not creating the opportunity for people to feel like they get a chance to thrive or to excel or be better as a consequence of buying what it is that I'm selling, I deserve to go out of business. So that litmus test question gets to be really interesting. And I've had a number of clients that I work with actually get flummoxed by that question. It's kind of like, well, the purpose of my business is to sell a widget here, but the purpose, hats off to Milton Friedman. The purpose of your business is not to make a profit. You need a profit to stay in business, but you'd better be real clear about what the purpose of business is, and then specifically your business.
Yeah.
How does that match with what you're doing with your growth accelerator process?
Well, for us, we're an agency, so what we're doing is executing a plan from another business, right? So we're working with brands to try and give them a strategy for e-commerce that's going to enable them to grow. Now, the brand, we also will impart our suggestions on what that brand should be doing, right? And how to communicate with people and how to get your concept across, or because we're working sometimes with big brands, and I think a lot of times brands think, well, I donated money to this cause, so I'm okay. I donate money to this cause, but it's not the same thing. You have to sort of create some sort of sustainability model, not just for your business, but for the people that work for your business, the people that are buying from your business. So we can't change their direction, but we certainly can give them guidance But the second thing that I do, I also mentor, like you. I mentor at the University of Maryland School of Entrepreneurship. I mentor at accelerators and things, and I do something similar to what you're doing as to making entrepreneurs, when they're in that planning stage, or even when they're first starting. What's your purpose? What's going to get you there? What's going to connect with the customer? That's going to make them feel good about using your product. That's really going to benefit society, or even your society. So,
yeah. Alex, it looks like you got a question there.
I just, me as an entrepreneur and a technologist, I always launch new products and right about to launch a new hardware product. And I'm venturing in that field of e-commerce and funnels and Googles and the ads. Do you have any advice for people like myself launching an online product, where to go and what to use and kind of how to get started, not to get lost?
I can tell you that each product, each business is sort of different, but you have to think about what is going to break through the clutter and get somebody to buy your product. Why are they going to buy your product over somebody else's product? And what are you going to do to get your message out? Because if you're going to just take money and spend it on ads, on Google ads, don't get me wrong, Google ads, Facebook ads, all that is important as a foundational tool, but that's not going to break through the clutter. If you have time for a quick story, I'll give you a quick story about breaking through the clutter. I founded a razor company a few years ago, and we were struggling. The first year we were struggling. We were doing what we were supposed to do. We're running ads. This is back about 2016, 2015, 2014, that era. And we had Facebook, but we didn't really have Instagram or anything else. And we just weren't getting over the hump. And so I'm a baseball fan, and I was reading that there was a pitcher that was used to pitch for the San Francisco Giants, and he got traded to the Dodgers, Brian Wilson, and he had this epic beard, and he was going to pitch for the first time in a year. He had Tommy John surgery. So what I did was I said to myself, let's offer the guy $1 million to shave with our razor. And all we really need, it's a PR stunt. All we really need is for his people to say, I'll pass it by Brian and see what he says. So we got our PR firm to send a message saying, hey, they want you to shave with your razor for $1 million. And we got back the response, we'll talk about it. Okay, that's all we needed. So we went and we hit all the press. And the next thing you know, the world blew up on us for about a couple of weeks. People were sending pictures to us on Facebook. I'll shave this body part for $10,000. I'll shave this for $5,000. And all of a sudden, every sports news channel was interviewing us. We were all over the papers, and that pretty much launched us. And those types of things are great. It breaks through the clutter. People got a laugh out of it. It was not damaging to anybody. Brian loved the concept, but it went on for about 2 weeks. And then TMZ catches Brian Wilson coming out of a gym and asked him, are you going to shave your beard for $1 million? And he says, I'm not shaving my beard for any amount of money. Well, it started up again because then people were outraged that this guy would turn down the $1 million, to shave. So it took about 3 or 4 weeks that we got press all around the world. I mean, Japan, France, we were getting press everywhere. They thought we were just totally nuts. And, but that launched us. That got us orders. It got us traffic to the site. It really put us on the map. So in my opinion, you have to always think outside the box and not just go for, yes, running ads and doing your social media. That's all foundational stuff. But what are you going to do to break through the clutter, to let people know who you are and what you stand for?
Yeah. It's that whole notion of, I think it was Jeff Bezos that said that, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Exactly.
That's a good story. Thank you.
That is a great story. And I actually remember that whole thing. I was going, what are these guys doing?
Yeah, it was funny.
800razor.com.
Yeah, it was funny. It was a great thing to do, but it set the tone for who we were. We were a little bit different, and people loved us, and we really built a good relationship with our customers. Yeah.
Oh, great. Phil, let's see here. Yeah, we can find you at Crunchgrowth Revenue Acceleration Agency. That's going to go up in the Chiron here in just a moment. Where else can people find out more about what you're up to?
Yeah, crunchgrowth.com or philmasiello.com. Either one.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that Dave wasn't able to get a connection to come in and enjoy this conversation. I know he would have had a couple of things to say about 800razor.com. I absolutely know he would have said something about that.
100%.
We'll have you back on one of the other shows here, with David, one of us as well.
I appreciate it. And I am probably going to steal your thought on how you approach entrepreneurs. So I'll credit you for it, but I am going to use that thought process. So,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's flattery. Yeah. Invitation.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. A lot of fun.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed
You bet. You take care. Oh, that was good stuff. I love that.
That was amazing. Yeah, good story.
That's a great story. And speaking of stories, yeah, hospitality is steeped in stories. And this is our next guest here, Andy McNeil, CEO of AMI, probably the largest travel hospitality organization on the planet. And you guys do some incredible work. You're over 100 plus countries, I think, that you're positioned in. And I was talking to somebody the other day. I've got about 5.5 million air miles, which
can I have some?
Yeah, it's kind of like I need another airplane ride, like I need a hole in my head. But when I get on the ground, I've always got to go find some place to. When I was doing a lot of work with Nokia, Phil, Andy, I spent a lot of time in Helsinki, and this is back in the late '90s, early 2000s, and I would stay at the Intercontinental, and I loved staying at the Intercontinental, not because of what it was. I mean, it was a hotel, but I would walk in. They knew my name. I mean, I'd been going in there for probably about 5 years at that point in time. They gave me the same room every time. So it was kind of like, there's my room, and I'd walk in, and it wasn't Mr. Bartlett, it was Blaine. Your room is ready. And then I go down to the restaurant, and they would know that I was coming in, and they knew what meal I was going. It was a limited menu. They knew what meal I wanted. I mean, it was just an amazing experience, and I remember that so profoundly. It was kind of like, I'm being taken care of here. This is good stuff.
That's what hospitality is all about, Blaine. That's
Absolutely.
what it's all about.
Yeah. So you got, we're going to talk about this. You got a little gift that you want to provide some folks, and we'll talk about that near the end of the interview here. But yeah, your book, Everywhere. I mean, like I said, I got 5.5 million air miles. I just literally got back from 2 weeks in Africa and a week in Dubai. I've been everywhere, man. That whole song comes back up to play here.
Yeah.
What's the theme of the book? What are you looking to land in the messaging in your book?
So AMI, we're a global corporate meetings and events firm. So we take our clients and their attendees all over the world. And, really our message is about hospitality and your ability to provide hospitality in any part of in any type of business, and really focused on those extra special touches that really set you apart from a point. And doing that through events is just a fantastic way to do it. And so we have a book called Destination Everywhere. You can go to destinationeverywhere.com, which is also our podcast. And that's really a book that shows all the places where you can have incredible experiences all over the world from a business perspective, using meetings and events from a B2B perspective to get to your end goal, whatever that is, whether it's education, whether it's selling a product or service. We've all put on events, but there's a very special way to do it to you really can drive sales and drive engagement with the most important people in your universe.
Yeah.
I have a question. So in the corporate world, how often a company should do those offsites and travel, and what benefit it gives to the company for the culture and just getting it out there outside to the events and just
absolutely. After all of us that just went through COVID and having to deal with being on virtual all the time, and virtual has a really, really great place in every marketing strategy. I firmly believe that. But listen, there's there's nothing like sitting across from somebody and giving a handshake and having a great dinner with them or a great event with them. That's really what makes a difference. So to answer your question, Alex, I think it's as much as possible, as much as your business needs it. It's what I found over the last 30 years in the business. It is the number one way to drive revenue and growth, is establishing those close relationships and having experiences with the people that are most important to you. Now, how do you do that? You can do that from an educational standpoint, have great content for them, or you can have a great experience for them, or both, whatever the strategy is. So we work with our clients to develop those strategies and then execute them to make sure that, we're impacting the bottom line or whatever that end goal is for the brand. And, you can do it lots of different ways. You can do it through sales meetings. You can do it through educational seminars. You can do it through focus groups and customer engagement. All those strategies are open up to any business. And so really, while you're looking at your business, you're like, what am I trying to deliver, and what value add can I bring to my attendees and my customers that will move that needle, and you'll win. You'll be in a winning strategy.
That's beautiful.
It is. I love that. It's the focus on experience.
Absolutely
is something that I think. I mean, I've been to a lot of dry meetings.
Me too. We've been around the block a few times. Yeah, me too. It's just, and COVID really shined a huge light on that, right? We all try to become executive producers now. Obviously, you guys have a first-class setup here, but we were all trying to do it, from our homes and our basements. And it really, I think it really shone a light on experiential marketing, whether it's live or virtual. It really showed us that everyone had to get really, really good at it. And I think everyone's an expert now in virtual, but live is, I believe, where it's at. And we've seen a complete 180 from COVID. I mean, no one wants to do virtual anymore. I mean, we're doing it with our clients, but everybody wants to be in front of their customer. And the best way to do that is through meetings and, like you're talking about, experiential marketing.
I'm just really curious here, and this is a selfish question on my part, but what's one of the most unique experiences that you've actually, helped put together for, and you don't need to name the client, but just what, the experience, it just kind of stands out for you. It's kind of like, whoa, that was really cool.
Well, I think, so obviously, especially in America, conferences and trade show and congresses have been, they're really the best way to enact with potential customers from an experiential marketing. So being on site and using technology, we were lucky enough to work with Salesforce with their top customers in Vegas. Over a course of 10 years. We did some really exciting experiential stuff. A lot of it had to do with food and keeping people libated up, I should say, and having a great time, and really using technology to up the experience. Whenever you can use technology to create an atmosphere of energy and excitement, and you can do that lots of different ways, from AV production to bringing in all different sorts of technologies with video, holograms. We've done a lot of work with holograms, and bringing in celebrities and experts and business leaders through hologram technology, which kind of really just blows people away. So lots of ways to do it, and there's some just a few examples.
Just again, curiosity. The Sphere in Vegas. Are you kind of leaning in that direction to see what you might be able to do with that?
Technology is just, it just keeps exploding. And in our business, there's always something new. So the Sphere itself, which takes the takes the use of video and the experience to a whole new level, but also using the technology of the shape of the building and the stage itself to pull everybody into it. And I just think you're going to see more and more of that. There's been lots of things that have been done on stages, temporary, but nothing that was like a full experience that's there. And I haven't been yet. Don't know if you have been, but I hear it's just incredible.
Yeah. Alex, you get the last.
No, I think right. So I think I just will do the comment, and then maybe Andy, you can kind of pick up on that. I think when you do that person-to-person relationship and meetings, it vibrates on a certain frequency, in which it's hard to translate that frequency through online medium. So face-to-face now is really fortunate, and I know with the use of technology, it helps us to breach that gap. But I'm still a strong believer that face-to-face brings more angles to conversation. And
Yeah,
just,
and when you're asking
sharing
for
that
people, when you're asking for business, it's really hard for them to say no when you do it the right way in front of them, right? And you can establish a relationship. You get that body language. You understand it. You understand where they're coming from, and you can even tell whether they're the decision maker or not, kind of how they present themselves and how they respond. So that's really, really hard to do in virtual. So live, from an experiential standpoint, you can do just so much more. And the world is out there. Everyone's doing meetings again, and we're having a blast doing it. Reaching the customers through meetings and events is, in my opinion, the best way to do it.
I love it. I love it. Andy, thank you so much. Andy McNeil, CEO of AMI. You can find out more about them at AmericanMeetings.com, as well as our favorite hotels.com. And we've got that up there on the Sharon. Okay, good. So David wasn't able to drop in, and I think that you probably got the message that he's in Tahiti and he was having internet difficulties.
Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, no, that's what we're starting to do with that dog. I just kind of, wait a minute. So we're going to get you back on another show with us, and we'll get David involved with it too. But Andy, thank you very much. I love this conversation. I love
Great.
it.
I appreciate the time, guys. You guys have a great night.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Yeah.
Take care. Great.
What a wonderful guest.
I loved it. And, it's interesting to me, Alex, that branding kind of ran through all three of these in a very interesting way. Whether I brand through experience or I brand, just kind of how does that brand come through? I brand through soul. I brand just through branding.
I agree. And you combine all three and you get the secret formula of success, right? It's not just one or the other. It's all three coming together. In person, events, marketing, you add e-commerce, you get virality of a certain shaving, 800 razor things, and then you just, it's a great story.
Yeah, and I'm just actually really pleased to have met him, because I remember that campaign really well. It was I was having a ball with it. It was God, these guys are crazy. This is cool stuff. And it stuck out. It stuck out. Yeah.
And it was pre-TikTok, I guess, right? So it was.
Yeah, it was.
It was harder to get to that scale. So
perfect. Well, David always closes with a takeaway here. So what's your takeaway from our time together here today?
I think my takeaway, the main takeaway that I just would actually write down and start taking actions on myself is personal branding is vital throughout the company, and not only just for me as a CEO of a tech consulting company, but also translate that to all other layers. And when you apply that to events, speaking engagements, and bring together your thought leaders within the company to speak at those events in person, and combine it with e-commerce and marketing campaigns, that creates a success formula. So you're just really attacking all the channels. And I think talking to more of your executive level, C-level executives, and putting them out there and start putting them out there in personal face-to-face events is really the key that I will just take it in my playbook and start doing.
Yeah, that's good.
How about yourself?
For me, I think it's the focus on experience. I mean, and I mentioned this, that the purpose of business is to provide the opportunity to thrive. And that's experience based. I mean, how do I feel about me when I'm in the presence of your product or your service? Do I feel excited? Do I feel uplifted? If I can land that experience, whether it's through an articulated brand or through my beingness as a leader, the presence, I tap into the soul of the business, or literally through designing an experience that brings people together. That whole dynamic of experiencing life, experiencing the brand, experiencing the product, touches me and it moves me and it gets me connected to what's going on. So that's the takeaway is, just keen towards experience.
Yeah, that's the key. Experience is everything. And product that really, as long as the product high quality experience is all that matters.
Yep. Perfect. Well, this brings us to a close here. And you can connect with me at blainebartlett.com. Thank you, Blaine Parrish, for putting that up there. And you can get more about Alex's company at genium.com. I'm not sure if David, if he's in Raluca or Gigi, you can let me know about this. Is Friday happening? The Friday session, is that happening?
Yes, tomorrow we're going to be on for the 7:30 a.m. Pacific time. Yes, thank you, Blaine.
Wanted to be sure that we got that in there. So David, we'll see everybody at Friday at 7:30 Pacific. Okay. And Alex, thanks. Love doing
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me in. That was insightful and thoughtful and very, very good being in the room with you. Thank you.
You as well. You take care.
Yeah.
We're out of here, folks.
Bye.